Hey, podcast listeners. I'm Chris Morocco, food director of Bon Appetit and Epicurious, and host of the Dinner SOS podcast. Each week on the show, we bring the expertise of the Bon Appetit test kitchen to your kitchen. And this season, we've got a little something for everyone. We're debating whether spring produce is actually worth all the hype, solving your hosting anxieties, and helping you become a better baker with our BA Bake Club episodes on Dinner SOS.
The gift of this job is that almost everybody I've worked with has always dreamed of having a cookbook. And then I get to be there with them when their dream comes true. And that is the most powerful feeling in the world.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Casey Elsass is a food writer, recipe developer, and cookbook author living in Brooklyn. Known among his collaborators as the cookbook doula, Casey has helped birth over 20 titles as co-author, ghostwriter, friend, and unlicensed therapist. On this episode, we talk about his terrific new cookbook, What Can I Bring? Recipes to help you live your guest life. Also on the show is chef and TV personality Michael Symon. He's the author of Symon's Dinners Cooking Out, 100 Recipes That Redefine Outdoor Cooking. Yes, my guy has some really smart ideas on how to cook outside when hosting or just going solo. We talk about getting into a grilling practice at home and so much more. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Casey Elsass, welcome to This Is Taste. It's great to meet you.
Great to meet you too. Thank you.
You're a legend in the game.
Oh, thank you.
But not like the biggest name, and that's no slight to you because I think there's lots of ways you can do food media, but really you're a legend in the game in the sense that you create cookbooks as a collaborator, as a ghostwriter. Mm-hmm. You've been called the cookbook doula.
Yep.
Did you make that up or did someone call
No, an editor I work with a lot named me that years ago, but it is the easiest, quickest way to introduce myself to new people and explain what kind of services I can provide.
Okay, so let's talk about that exactly. What is your typical project, and then what have you done that's kind of like a reach?
A typical project kind of goes all over the place.
Yeah.
I've written books for brands where I've done it from the pitch through every recipe, every word, photo shoot, proofs to the very end. So I can jump in with anyone at any point in the process and help fill in the holes where they need help. So some books we've started with the proposal and gone all the way through the end together. Some books I've come in a month before the manuscript is due to just help them get over the finish line with it.
That's like a polish.
Yeah.
You're like a screenwriter polish or something else.
Extra motivation or when they're just truly hitting writer's block and just need someone to come in and like bang out an introduction for their book. Like I can just jump in and help with those kinds of things. But I would say my favorite projects are where we can be true collaborators. We really start from the ground up together because then I really know and care about this book in a totally different way than walking into something that's already in process.
And I just have to say, I've written some books myself. I've only done one at a time. Mm-hmm. You wrote me last night that you, while promoting your book, What Can I Bring, which I absolutely love, and we'll talk about it, and doing all the media, you have 5 to 6 projects you're working on right now? Yeah.
Right before my book comes out, I'll be on set for a photo shoot for another book. And I was just on set for a photo shoot for another book. But I keep my summers clear. That's my gift to myself.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
That's what do you do in the summer then?
Go to the beach, hang out, do nothing. I mean, books are coming in with edits, but that's like a couple days every month, every other month. But I don't like to be in crunch time during the summer. That's my relaxing
really good to
time.
have those standards. We have a lot of listeners who are in the industry, either journalism or academic writing. Is this a lucrative business for you to do 5 to 6 projects?
I think I can only make it lucrative by doing that many.
Yeah.
Each book on its own it pays fine, but it wouldn't be a livable salary. Yeah. Also, I think what a lot of people don't realize is cookbooks take 2 years. It's a 2-year process. and the advance is paid out over a certain amount of time in those years. And so I don't get all my money right away. Sometimes I'm waiting until pub day for that last payment. So just by piecing together a bunch of projects, then I can cobble together an actual salary for myself. But I think I've gotten into a good rhythm at this point where before I get into a project, I get a good sense of the timeline. So I'm never in crunch time with two people at the same time.
Yeah.
The most important part is the feeling of availability to that person. So I would never want to be unavailable in the time they need me the most because I'm on set or I'm finishing a manuscript or whatever.
Casey, you are describing what a doula does.
Totally.
Exactly.
It is the best metaphor for it.
It's smart. I mean, it's exactly right. Like you have like them in the background, but then when it's crunch time, you know.
Yes, when we're going into labor, I need to be with them 100%.
That's really, really, really fascinating. Let's talk about some memorable collaborations. You've done over 20.
I mean, they all kind of are in a way.
Okay, you're being diplomatic. I get it. But look, there's got to be some that, this is not favorites, listener. Let's just say these are highlights. It's a highlight reel.
Yes. Well, what I'll say first is my friend Robbie had this great idea that I should make notes in each book once it comes out. So I remember what that process was like with that person, what was going on in my life, whatever things were going on around that time. And the thing I've realized in the process of going back and making notes of everything is I think this is why it's so hard to choose. The gift of this job is that almost everybody I've worked with has always dreamed of having a cookbook. And then I get to be there with them when their dream comes true. And that is the most powerful feeling in the world. And it's such a tender, intimate experience working on a book with somebody and seeing them through to the fulfillment of that dream. So it's really hard because each of those books represents such a special experience with each of those people.
That's really thoughtful. I really appreciate that, for real. Like, that was really well said. And I think this is a business and you have to like limit your hours, but it's such an emotional project when you're writing a cookbook.
Yeah.
Because of that dream. We don't want to shatter the dream of this cookbook having, it's really complex. These are highly complex projects.
Totally.
And I just like that you have that empathy. Clearly that's why you're beloved in the industry. All right, I'm going to reframe the question. Who have you worked with without qualifying which one is favorite? But let's just get some names just so we can get an idea of like the types of books you've done.
think two books that I feel very, very proud of. One was Second Generation with Jeremy Solomon. And those were both books where I came in right from the start. They were such true partnerships in terms of collaboration, creativity, what we were bringing to the table. There was such a good give and take. Renato and I took a road trip through Italy together one summer. And Jeremy, just to me, he's the kind of chef. He owns Augie's Counter.
He's been on the show twice. I love Jeremy.
I love him so much.
He's so talented.
He is one of those chefs that like I was changed forever just by getting that much access to the way he cooks. And both of those books I just feel so proud of. The photo shoots were dream weeks in the studio. Just everything was perfect about it.
They're both great books, and to note, we don't publish either of them, so I'm not being objective here. They're really terrific books.
Yeah.
Casey, let me just ask you straight up. There's sometimes things go south. I mean, I've seen it happen firsthand, and it can be challenging. Let's just talk about like shit hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of like misperceptions about cookbooks. That 2-hour gap. It's not always busy, but like there's always something every couple weeks that you got to do. Be it on the manuscript side and the art side.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shit that can go wrong. So, Casey, what has gone wrong?
This is a very easy question because luckily I have only had one book that was truly a disaster. And it really, really sticks out in my mind.
Changed you. You felt it.
It was a celebrity book and it really shifted how I approach all books, but especially celebrity books. Because I'm not going to name any names.
Why would you? There's no reason. We don't need to be that.
But in this case, I'm not even sure if the celebrity is aware they have a cookbook because it was all done through the management company. And what that meant was every decision was done by committee but the committee was not speaking to each other. So there was just so much contradicting information. I had finished and submitted all my contractual recipes, and then they came back months later and wanted brand new ones. And luckily, my agent got me out of that. The editors on that book I loved, and we had such a great time. And we were a good little team together, but the process just was so difficult and so unnecessarily difficult. So now I'm really careful when I'm going into a project. I need to know for sure that that person whose book it is really wants this book and is going to be involved.
Did you even meet the person you wrote
Never.
for?
Nope. Not once ever.
Not once ever?
No, only the management team.
Like literally never met them. And you had to write in their voice?
Yeah.
But you never actually met the person?
No.
Yeah, that happens. You know, that does happen. Those books are usually trash, like absolute garbage. No offense.
The book actually came out great, surprisingly.
Fair enough.
The thing about it for me was they went through and changed recipes, so I just asked that my name was taken off the book. Since that's not my work at that point, I don't want to be associated with it.
You got paid too, right?
Yeah.
You got paid. That's all good. I love this career. Let's just go back briefly and get a little bit of your history. Because clearly for this role, you have to have a really strong editorial sense, like a very strong writing sense, project management, and then of course the culinary sense. Did you work in the industry? Did you go to culinary school?
No, I really lucked into this. This is not a job I knew existed. This was not an option I knew about in the world. Before I was doing this, I actually had my own condiment company, sort of in that 2010s,
which
Brooklyn. Bushwick Kitchen, Bee's Knee Spicy Honey was my brand.
Nice. I know that brand.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite the Mike's.
No. Yeah.
You didn't get that exit.
Mike was an annoying little thorn in my side the whole time.
Well,
but
Bee's Knees, I know. Of course, I know that brand. That's you. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I sold it years ago because it was too much. That was not the right career path for me. It was exciting while it was happening, but such a mental drain. But when I had that company, do you remember the short stack?
Yeah, of course.
I wrote one of those just kind of in a wild pitch to them, and they were so down, and I wrote one. And
what was the topic?
Maple syrup.
Oh,
I'm from New Hampshire, so I had a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
And then that book ended up in the hands of Amanda Englander when she was still at Clarkson. And she reached out about a cookbook sort of based on my company. But that was while I was going through the sale process. So the timing wasn't right. And then she reached out again after I'd left my company because she needed a writer for the Tasty cookbooks for BuzzFeed's food brand. And I met with the Tasty people. They had a copy of my maple syrup book, and they were like, this book is great. And you've worked on other books, right? And I just was like, totally. Yeah. If you're asking me, you don't know. So I'm not going to blow my cover.
Smart.
So I just kind of lied my way into this career. Yeah. But I will say cooking and writing had always been two things I was very passionate about and had a natural aptitude for.
Yeah.
And I think when I started this career, it was after selling my company, after a very draining period of my life. I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. And I think I felt this kind of pressure that I needed to set up future me for something successful. Yeah. So writing those Tasty books, I thought of that as this is what I'm doing till I figure out what I'm doing. And I definitely held that for a couple years until I realized maybe my career could be joyful and fulfilling and something I'm excited to wake up for every day. And I don't feel depleted at the end of the day. Yeah. And I think now that I am older me, I'm so glad that younger me didn't lock myself in a cubicle somewhere and gave myself the gift of a dream career that I would have walked away from if I was being stupid.
It's so well said. And I love the sentiment of the way you want to wake up and get excited about work.
Yeah.
Because it still is work and there still is a lot of it.
It's stressful sometimes, but I'm never drained by it. I always feel happy to be doing it.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Avery Trufelman, and maybe you can relate to this. There's so many great podcasts out there, but it's impossible to listen to them all. That's why I'm so happy to be the host of Hark Daily, a new way to hear the best moments from the best podcast conversations. Each weekday morning, you'll hear 5 captivating clips from amazing podcasts on the day's news, culture, and so much more, all in 20 minutes. And it's totally free. Check it out at harkdaily.com.
As the summer travel season approaches, I'm excited to let you know about 2 upcoming Taste Travels, our immersive travel series hosted by cookbook authors and me, Matt Rodbard. On June 15th, I will be joining the Mediterranean dish author Suzy Karache in Barcelona for an incredible week of culinary tours, cooking classes, and plenty of wine and jamon. And on September 15th, I will be joining author and baker Mauricio Leo of The Perfect Loaf for a tour of northern Italy. We will visit artisanal Parmigiano Reggiano and balsamic vinegar producers, take a masterclass in the art of panettone, and of course, eat plenty of stuffed pasta and mortadella in and around Emilia-Romagna. Both trips are nearly sold out and closing soon. If interested, write into hello@tastecooking.com and we will get you the information. That's hello@tastecooking.com. I hope to see you on one of our taste travels this summer. I want to keep talking about your career, but I don't want to forget about this book that you put out. What Can I Bring? It's such a great concept. You clearly have editorial vision. And I have a lot of things to ask you about this first. First off, the execution, really, really smart. What kind of like got you thinking about doing your own book and like having been so in sync with the industry, working on many collaborations, following the industry? How did you come up with the idea that was going to be your debut as a solo author and be something really original?
So the idea of this book actually started during the pandemic, prime pandemic, quarantine, when I was just really craving all of the connection and gathering that I missed so much. And I kind of threw the name out as a joke in a group text. And then a few days later was like, oh, hold on, that's actually kind of a good idea. And so I just kept a Google Doc and a spreadsheet. And for years, I just put ideas and recipes and scraps of things. And a lot of these recipes are things I genuinely have been bringing for years. So much of the book was just like kind of in a shape already. But it just sort of sat there for a long time because I knew I was going to have to. Selling a book is a really hard thing. And especially when you don't have an audience, when you're not TikTok famous or Instagram famous or have a restaurant that everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
It's really hard to break through. And so I knew my pathway was going to be through merit. And so I really wanted to put in the time and earn my place. But the gift of that was I had so many test runs of writing cookbooks before it was time to write my own. I could really see what worked, what didn't work, what's possible. And so I'm really glad I had that like marination period and didn't just like rush forward with it. I don't think it would be as good of a book.
No. And I see you like kind of breaking some rules in a really cool way. One is just the format of the recipe, which, we live and die by here at Penguin Random House. It's like a huge part of our editorial approach is making sure recipes are consistent. There's a style sheet that works. Design is linked up. But you really kind of introduced some new ideas that I'm like, I am going to think about that for my next book. I think like the way that you have a real vibe, like you have 3 different styles of like the difficulty of it. I think that's a really good way, and you can talk about that. But also, there's like bullet points at the bottom of each one, which is smart. Talk about like kind of breaking the recipe.
Yeah, I mean, I sent my publisher into a haywire. It was not an easy one, but I felt really strongly because I think there's a lot of ways that standard recipe writing lets the home cook down. And that just felt really important to me that when it's my turn to write my own, I want to make sure I'm going at this in a thoughtful way. So every recipe is ranked by, I'm going to say effort not difficulty.
Oh, I like that. Let's rephrase that. Effort.
Yeah.
Effort level.
But I think it's important to know before you get your heart set on this thing, like what you're in for. And none of the recipes in this book are hard. Some of them just take more time and more effort or more ingredients or whatever. But I really wanted everybody at every level to find something that felt like theirs in this book. But I also think it's important to, especially thinking about being a good guest, bringing food somewhere. Dietary restrictions are marked on every recipe, so you know if it's vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, nut-free. And then if there's an easy swap, that's also noted there too. Mm-hmm. And then, at the bottom, I have this little section called Party Tricks.
Party tricks, yeah.
I'm a chatty person and I have a lot to say, but I also have a lot of information in my head, and I wanted to put that somewhere because I think it's important and it's useful. And I think the best way to learn about food is cooking food. And I just wanted to share some extra tidbits that are useful for the home cook or good talking points if you're bringing this dish somewhere, just like a little extra treat.
Yeah, I love that you are making your production editors squirm a little bit at your publisher.
I'm sorry to those people.
But, they rolled with it. And I think we look at these books, and I like that you have kind of a secret code at the top of every recipe. And I like also that you just called out in a annotated way how you use a recipe, which isn't really done that often. Anyway, this is little book publishing talk we're doing here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the actual concept. What can I bring? When a host says, just bring whatever, or whatever the tone is, just bring whatever. Just bring whatever. I mean, you can say it many different ways. What is the best response?
I mean, maybe this is a topic for another book in the future, but I think that's the worst thing a host can say.
Fully agree.
Set your guests up, set yourself up for success. Don't be the passive host. I think being a really intentional host is super important, but I also think being an intentional guest is really important. And I think there's a lot of ink spilled on how to be a good host, but there's not a lot on the guest end of the equation. But I think if your host is kind of wishy-washy about things, you as the guest can step in and say, here's my specialties. I think there's such a superpower in having a signature dish. Mm-hmm. And so it's just great to be it's also kind of chic to just be oh, I make a great chocolate cake. I'll bring that. I mean, it gives your host, you're setting them up for a score at that point.
Exactly. And you can kind of give it, I bring this all the time. You know how to do it. You also know how to execute it on your end and it doesn't stress you out. Mine is definitely Eric Kim's butter mochi with black sesame.
Yeah.
I always bring it as cubes.
Yeah.
A nice, bite size. It's savory enough that it can go even at the end of Maine. It can be a dessert. Mm-hmm. It can be a snack. Give us a couple of those go-tos for you personally, Casey, because you have a book filled with them. But when you're going to a party, what are you bringing?
There's a chocolate cake in this book that I've been making for years, and it's gluten-free. So very adaptable for everybody. What else? All of the dips I've been bringing for years. Everybody loves a good dip. That's always a safe bet of something to bring. And the bread chapter.
Yeah.
I felt so wishy-washy about including it. But as I've shown friends the book, they all are obsessed with that. But years ago, I did a workshop in Vermont and learned how to make bread. And then for years, my friends just got bread every time I came over or for birthdays or whatever. I think it's such a great thing. Yeah.
If you just want to, if it's not a dinner party, but you're just hanging out with a friend, it's their birthday. Mm-hmm. Make a loaf of bread.
Totally. It's even just a great gift. It's so nice.
Speaking of dips, I really want to talk to you about this idea that kind of blew my mind, a whipped blue cheese dip, adding air, adding, lightness to blue cheese. You think about ricotta, you think about other these things, but how did you come up with that?
I love that you picked up on that one. Smart. I feel like that's one of the sleeper hits. Yeah, I mean, we've all had whipped ricotta, whipped goat cheese, whatever. But I started making years ago, and I think two things. I love blue cheese, but it is quite a strong thing. So this one uses sweet blue cheese, which is much more subtle, much nicer.
What's the brand name? Do you know offhand?
I don't, because I usually just grab it from my grocery store, the pre-cut.
Yep.
And Yeah, so there's a nice texture to it. There's a nice flavor to it. I will also say I think tarragon is the most underappreciated herb.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tarragon and dill are kind of the stars of this. So it has almost a ranch feeling to it, but a much more like grown-up, sophisticated version of it. But still that like addictive, dippy kind of flavor to it.
What are you dipping in it?
Crudité,
Yeah.
I think is great. Pita, whatever.
Sounds
Ruffles would be
Oh,
delicious.
yeah, Ruffles would be perfect with that. Or a combination of the three.
All of them.
I love this idea of the bouillon crouton, and it feels like a really smart hack, and it's really the way you're describing these dishes. You have great, usable hacks. How did you come up with the idea of this to make like a perfect Caesar salad? Second part of the question is bringing a salad feels risky to me because it's like going to maybe not be perfect when you arrive. Any ways I can negotiate that?
Yeah. Well, for salads, I would say pack separately.
Yeah. Totally.
Bring your elements, put it together there. Being a good guest, in my opinion, too, is showing up with all your servingware, too.
Yeah.
Don't ask for a bowl. Don't ask for a spoon.
100%. Thank you.
Have it
Great.
with you.
You can always, you'll get it later.
Yeah.
You'll get it later. You'll
Totally.
get it back.
You know that person. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, don't put that on your host. You bring your stuff. But with something like a salad, the dressing goes in one container, the lettuce goes in a Ziploc bag, the croutons go in another Ziploc bag, and then just throw it together when you get there.
Yeah.
The two things I really thought about with this salad are, with Caesar salad, I love anchovies, but I don't want an anchovy dressing sitting out all day. So this is kind of a sneaky workaround dressing that has that flavor, but it's totally fine at room temperature. And then with the croutons, I love a crouton. My mouth fears a crouton. And so I wanted really nice, big pieces of bread that are lightly toasted.
Mm-hmm.
So they're crunchy on the outside, but you're hitting a pillow on the middle. And then in this thinking of a Caesar salad, a chicken Caesar, I always have that jar of Better Than Bouillon in my refrigerator.
We all have it.
Yeah,
we all
it's
have
delicious.
It's great product.
And when I was just playing around with it one day, I just was sort of like, oh, what if I made kind of like a dressing to toss the croutons in with this? And it was delicious. It has all that chicken flavor without chicken, maybe even better chicken flavor than like a grilled chicken. Yeah. So yeah, to me, it just makes so much sense to like dress up your croutons.
Yeah, so bring a Caesar salad. I think like most hosts, especially the ones who are ambivalent or don't have the answer, are not going to say no to a salad.
Right.
Because like it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's, whatever.
It goes with everything.
It goes with everything, right?
It's a nice team player.
Yeah. So like think about packing it separate. I sometimes just like bring in like plastic utensils. I know it's like a little bit not perfect for a dinner party, but if it's like a cookout.
Yeah.
So you just like don't have to worry about
right.
Or plastic bowl. Just like we can pitch it. I love the mosaic jello. I love the way it looks. I think we all strive for our own point of view with jello, and you really have one. Tell us about the recipe and tell us about the model in the photo.
Oh,
which
that's a good question.
I love the way you shot the book. You have a lot of friends in there.
Yeah.
Mostly just hands and pans, which I think is beautiful. This pay tribute to your friends through their hands.
Yeah. I mean, that we'll get to the jello, but that is such a special part of this book for me. 40 of my friends came to set over the period of days, and it just, now when I flip through the book, I see those people. To me, it feels like such a little secret of who everybody is, but it also just feels like so much love that they like came and did that and brought their best clothes and totally understood the assignment.
Yeah.
And I didn't want a studio shot book.
Yeah.
Gentle and Hires were my photographers and
nice.
So generously let us shoot in their apartment, which was the perfect place. So we could just sit on a couch or sit in the windowsill and just give like real space and environment, because I wanted the recipes to feel like they had left your home and gone somewhere and not just a perfected studio setup. So the jello, that is such a funny recipe because I grew up in a very jello household. And so I've known this for a long time, not necessarily in the bundt form, but in, a bowl or whatever. And then I've also found out that all of my Mexican friends know that recipe. All of my Puerto Rican friends know that recipe. All my Filipino friends know that recipe. All my friends from the Midwest, the Jell-O capital of the United States, know that recipe. It's just like maybe the great unifier of all cultures is this mosaic Jell-O.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to put together. The only thing is the time commitment of letting Jell-O chill multiple times over multiple days.
Right.
But you just make a few different flavors, different colors of Jell-O, let those set. And then you make a milk Jell-O out of condensed milk, evaporated milk, regular milk, and gelatin.
Which gives it that incredible contrast.
Beautiful
which is what you
white
want.
color, right. And then in a bundt pan, you just cut up your color Jell-O, layer it in, pour in some of the milk Jell-O, layer some more, pour some milk Jell-O. So when you flip it out of the bun, you have this beautiful exterior molded to the bun in this milky white. And then you slice in and it looks like a stained glass or a mosaic of just all these Jell-O colors floating in it. It's been, since I've revealed like pictures in the book and shared the book with some friends, that is like the number one thing everyone
It's a
flocks
great
to right
photo.
away.
It's a cool recipe. Does it just pop out of the bun pretty easily?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always do like a safety dip in warm water.
Dip in warm water. Yeah, you want to
but
do that.
it slides right out.
It slides right out. It's really, really, really cool.
But the model in that picture is my friend Viv, who is probably Jell-O's #1 fan. And I had brought that recipe to her house for a poker game like months before we shot the book. So she was, I think, maybe the only model that had already seen the dish that they were going to be modeling. So when Viv showed up with that dress, I just was like, this is gold. This is exactly what this.
It was a really cool shot.
No direction. She just pulled it out of her closet, and it's my favorite picture in the book.
It's a beautiful photo. And I really like the art direction of this book. It's great. What Can I Bring is the title. Make sure to pick it up. It's available in mid-May.
Yeah,
so
May 20th.
May 20th. A few more questions. Tell me the story of the Subway cookies, because I think we all New Yorkers know kind of what you mean. Bringing baked goods on the Subway. I thought for a second it was the restaurant chain Subway,
which
we actually wrote a great piece. Priya Krishna wrote it for us in like 2019 about Subway's cookies, which are actually really good.
They're incredible.
They're really good. I love that story. But talk about your Subway cookies.
So my Subway cookies, I name them that because of the story of the birth of these cookies. I developed this recipe years ago. This has just been like something I've been making for a long time. And I had made a batch that I felt like, okay, this is it. I think this is the final version. And I was going to meet up with some friends. So I packed them up in a Tupperware, hopped on the Subway. And then the lady sitting next to me was so intrigued by them. They use black cocoa, so they're like super dark. That's what's in Oreos. So it's like that dark black.
Yeah.
But then with the chocolate chips, those suddenly have this like beautiful brown hue to them. And so she just was like so intrigued by them, and she kept asking questions about them. And finally I was like, "Do you want one?" And she was like, "Oh my God, yes." And she pulled her little like lunch Tupperware out of her bag. I opened my Tupperware.
Oh, that's sweet.
Gave her a cookie. And then the woman on the other side of me was like, "Oh my God, those smell incredible." And I was like, "Oh, do you want one too?" And so I just was like passing out these cookies on the Subway. I moved to New York like way pre cell phones dominating our lives.
Yeah.
And
Same.
so I am always sad that we don't have that level of connection on the Subway anymore. You used to you could only sit there. That's all you could
you had
do.
like the newspaper. Remember when everyone had a newspaper on the Subway? AM New York or the New York Times. You had your Discman.
Yes.
And then you did not have your phones. And they were like noisier.
Yeah.
Which, I love
But
that
all you could do was like look across at other people and like make eyes like, "Did you just see that?" Like, and I just miss that kind of connection on the Subway. So like that weird moment of these cookies just like bringing the three of us together on the Subway ride was so funny to me.
I feel like the digital series is there for this. I know we love Subway takes, and like Subways are so interesting, and Subway cookies. I mean, let's talk.
Right.
I like it. Casey, on This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. The best fruit.
Cantaloupe. When it's right, it's right.
When it's right, it's right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about cottage cheese on cantaloupe.
I'm fine with it. I'm more of the Allison Roman style of a scoop of ice cream in my cantaloupe.
Yep.
That's heaven.
Roman. I feel you and Roman share a lot. I feel like your book is very similar to Allison's first book.
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely kind of like, just because you both are very editorial, and it's like you have bars. You have bars. Like, these are great, well thought through recipes. So, Casey.
Thank you. I love Allison. I love her work. She is a genius.
She's great.
And I think she changed cookbooks forever.
Absolutely agree. Hard agree. Worst vegetable.
Okay, I love every vegetable, but I would like to file a complaint with one vegetable. I hate that you can buy one carrot and you can buy one onion, but then you have to buy a ton of celery. That drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I would like to buy one piece of celery to make my soup and then be done with it, because then I have so much celery and I don't know what to do with it.
Let's bring on the celery Lucy's.
Yeah, get me big celery.
Just call them Lucy's, celery Lucy's. I mean, you're a food entrepreneur. You've done business. You've looked at P&Ls. Just do the Lucy's.
Like, imagine just picking out your one beautiful stalk with leaves and that's it.
Like we do
I
it
don't want a
with
full
fruit
bag.
in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, come on. This is a great idea. This is a $1 million idea.
Thank you.
Very smart. Okay, what is your typical breakfast?
I'm not a big weekday breakfast person. I eat dinner really late, so I don't really wake up hungry. But weekend breakfast, for sure. My boyfriend loves to sleep late. I scroll on TikTok for a while, and then it's like almost lunch at that point. So I would say like as close to Denny's as possible is my ideal breakfast. Like hash browns, eggs, sausage, toast, maybe a little sneaky pancake waffle situation.
New Hampshire has great breakfast.
Oh, for sure.
Anyone who's been up there,
yeah. New Hampshire's diner game in general is beautiful.
Great diner game. Obviously, the maple syrup per yours, short stack. I mean, just a great culture of agriculture.
Yeah.
Eggs, bread culture.
Yeah, totally.
The best dessert.
Oh, I hate this question.
Yeah, I know. It's tough.
Because each category of dessert, I could pick a winner.
Yeah, I know.
But I would never want to go
I'm
head
asking
to
you the
head.
question, though, man.
I know, sorry. Okay, mint chocolate chip ice cream. That is, from a young age, my forever love.
It kind of doesn't diminish. You can keep going and going.
And every one of it is good. Green, white, all sizes of chips.
Yeah.
I love it all.
Do you make your own?
No.
Smart move. Smart move. I mean, why make your own ice cream? I know there's Leibowitz, great book.
Right. I know. I've always wanted to try David's recipe, but I just want to buy.
Yeah.
Also, for me, ice cream is like you go out for ice cream.
Yeah.
I don't like eating ice cream at home. I like a hot summer night going to get an ice cream.
It's so fun. Yeah. You wait in line, you catch up, you have a scoop. So is there a favorite ice cream in New York City that you go to?
I would say one of my big complaints with New York is we do not have great, like, classic ice cream places. We have, like, really fun, creative ice cream places.
Sure.
But I want, like, a down and dirty guy poking out a window kind of ice cream place.
Yeah, you got to head out of the city a little bit for that. I my where I live, there's a couple of them.
Yeah,
and I love that.
My friend has a place near Asbury in New Jersey.
Oh,
and that's the kind of ice cream that I'm after.
Dude, I love Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
food is amazing. Okay, a restaurant you wish you could bring back from the dead.
Do you remember the restaurant Peel's that was down in the Bowery?
100%.
Yeah, that I think about all the time. I loved going there. Some of my friends work there. Every time I went there, I ran into like 3 people I was so happy to see. It just felt like everybody was there. And it was just like, I don't really remember much about the food except the biscuits.
Southern.
Were super good. I think so.
Southern restaurant, right?
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Maybe.
But it's just like the vibes there were perfect. Like that was like a restaurant done right.
Was that an Andrew Tarlow restaurant, like diner?
I could see why, but I don't
maybe
think
not.
it was.
I don't think it's right. I think that's just like an indie.
But it was like that level of like perfected service, atmosphere, everything.
That's why I love asking the question, because it's always like brings back just joy and like a little bit of sorrow, but mostly joy. Great answer. When you're craving fast food, where are you going?
McDonald's 100% of the time.
What's the order?
Don't waste my time with anything else. My order is psychotic. I get a quarter pounder meal with a Sprite, large fry, and a Big Mac to wash it down.
Not psychotic. everyone who knows that you can't just do meal.
Right.
You're going to McDonald's for a reason. You're gonna it's a survey of the menu items.
Yes.
And you can't just. My order is similar. I'm like double cheeseburger meal, always a 6 nugget, always, and definitely if I'm really feeling frisky, I'm doing some other sandwich, either a single cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I love McDonald's.
Yeah, me too.
So good.
It's perfect.
Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Ooh. Okay, I have 2 answers. One is Oaxaca, Mexico. I lived there when I was 19 a long time ago, and that is like such a special place to me. But I think that is a style of food that is so special and so unique. And so even in Mexico, like they consider that like the cooking, because I think a lot of like indigenous practices were able to survive in Oaxaca that they haven't quite in the rest of Mexico. And then my other answer is Paris, but all of my favorite restaurants in Paris are not French food. They're all other foods because, I mean, no one can compare it to New York, but Paris does have an international community in a similar way where you can get a really good version of a lot of different things in that city. And I love eating in Paris.
Well said. And have you worked on a Mexican cookbook?
No, that is my dream.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah. I can see you really diving into Oaxacan cuisine and that being exciting.
Definitely.
Out of the 6 that you're closing, can you talk about any of them?
No.
Cuisine broadly that you're tackling.
Oh, all different ones.
Yeah.
One is one is super fun because it's like it's kind of like an all around the world book.
Cool.
And that was such a great exercise for me to do a lot of research, do a lot of grocery shopping, crawl all over the city looking for things.
Yeah.
I loved that one. Another one is kind of like Middle Eastern Mediterranean. It's a chef who has a couple very popular restaurants in the city.
Yeah.
And then another one that I just finished is a high protein vegan cookbook. So it's kind of all
Very
over
cool.
the place. Yeah.
What's the killer high protein vegan ingredient? What are we missing?
I would say everyone should get into lupini beans.
Dude, I love it. Tell me about them. I don't know.
They are
those.
so packed with protein.
Yeah.
They're just starting to, like, there've always been the like Cento, like jarred ones hanging out, but you don't always see them. But now I'm starting to see some brands do like packaged, seasoned lupini beans. I think they're probably like on their way to becoming like an ingredient at some point. But they're just like super high, like way higher protein than a normal bean. And they're great like mixed in things, but they're also just great as like a meze platter kind of treatment.
Yeah. What's the flavor of them out of like if they're
kind of neutral? They're sort of like a smaller butter bean, I would say, like a smaller fava, but they're really good.
It's really cool, Casey, to be able to jump around to all these projects.
Oh, I love it.
And just getting,
It keeps my cooking so interesting.
Yeah.
Because like when I'm cooking for myself, it's pretty rare that I use a recipe.
Yeah.
I use them more for like research or technical information or inspiration or whatever. But when I'm cooking, I'm just sort of like digging around with what I have and figuring something out. But working in all these different styles just changes my repertoire and my knowledge. And it's great. It's such a gift.
So cool. Last one, your favorite sandwich?
Oh, okay. I think the best part about living in New York is figuring out your neighborhood sandwich spot. And there's one right off the subway near my apartment. And it's one of those like, is it a deli? Is it a grocery store? Like,
yes,
one of those kinds of places. And they make the best sandwiches. Like if I'm headed to the beach, that's the first stop for sure. But also like on nights where I'm like getting home late and I don't feel like cooking, absolutely in that line waiting for my sandwich. And they have one that's called Honey Bunny. And it's all sweet. It's like honey turkey, honey mustard, like just sweet, sweet, sweet.
Yeah.
But it's so good. I love that.
Sometimes at the end of the day, you want to have like dinner for dessert.
Yeah.
And that sweet flavor profile really hits.
A sandwich, that sandwich and a bag of voodoo chips is my dream dinner all the time.
So great. Spoken like a true New Yorker, a busy New Yorker. Casey Elsass, thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thank you so much.
Michael Symon, welcome back to This Is Taste. It's great to see you.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
I love this book.
I love that you love this book.
It's true, man.
I know. You know what? For us, it was an incredibly fun book to do because, what started as a show in a tough time, then became 7 seasons of a show, and we do it in our yard, and I get to do it with Liz every day. It's the shortest commute of all time doing that show. And then the show turned into a book, so about half the recipes are things that we've done throughout all the things we've made on the show. And then we have a bunch of new recipes. But it's just about getting comfortable with your grill.
Yeah, and it's honestly a book that doesn't just have the premise of you can throw it on the grill.
Right.
I mean, there is an oven in the book. You use some cooking inside in the book, but not majority of the recipes are done on the grill.
Yeah, well, I think people have to get over that a grill is just this grill. A grill, when the lid's off the grill, a grill's a stovetop. When the lid is closed on the grill, your grill is an oven. Yep. So anything that you could do inside, you could do outside. Anything that you could do outside, you could do inside.
What's the biggest misperception about grilling?
That men could not cook anything all year long and then go outside and be 5-star chefs on a grill.
Which is, I'll just add, that's funny. To add, which is can be a very tricky cooking implement.
Yeah, that was my father. My father was like, my mom did, Greek Sicilian mother, as we've talked about, but my mom did 90% of the cooking. But somehow my father thought that when summer hit and he went outside, he suddenly would know how to cook because he's a man and it's a grill. But you have to learn the ways of the grill. Like I always cook over live fire. That's how I like to do it. But, there's some rules to live by that will make your life much easier when using the grill. Yeah.
And I want to ask you just why do you personally enjoy it so much? Why do you like to head outside? I mean, we obviously know the weather is nice and you don't want to make your kitchen smoky, but there's something about the technique that you use in a kitchen, in an outdoor kitchen, that resembles maybe working the line at your restaurant.
Yeah, well, I think flavor. I mean,
sure.
All of our restaurants have always been live fire. So there is the romance of live fire for me and the way that I cook. And I think it adds an element of flavor that you can never achieve on a stovetop or an oven, especially when you're cooking with charcoal or wood. The other thing is like, I guess growing up in Cleveland, I kind of grilled all year long because of summer, spring, fall, and then, Brown's tailgate season. So it didn't matter the season to me. But especially if you grew up in a New York or a Cleveland or a Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh or whatever, the thrill of being outside for a portion of the year, I don't want to be in my house as soon as I could be outside in shorts and a t-shirt. I don't want to be inside. And the majority of the entertaining we do during that time of the year is outside. And so the last thing I want to do is have a party and I'm in the kitchen sweating and the party is 100 feet away from me,
Right.
So I want to be part of the party. So, I want to be outside. I want to add the flavor that the grill brings. I want to be, enjoy the weather that is happening, and I want to be in the party.
Yeah, and you're definitely the focal point of the party when you're grilling, which is nice.
Yeah,
it's nice to be the center of the party.
I like attention.
Attention is great.
I'm a Virgo.
So when you host tailgate, what's it looking like right now?
I mean, back in the day, it used to be like in the parking lot, grills, craziness. I'm not going to lie now. Now I go, and I enjoy the food that, stadiums and arenas used to not have great food. Now they do, so I tend to tailgate a touch less and enjoy what the stadium gives me.
That's if you have like club level tickets, not to say you do, but
I do.
Likely do.
I'm like bougie now. Like it used to be, especially at Brown Stadium, there was no club level, there was no loges, there was no indoor seating, there weren't suites. You were part of the elements. That's how it worked. And as I got older, I just and occasionally Liz will come to me with the game. So club level was the best move for us.
Yeah, and like let those cooks cook, man. Just like walk into the stadium, have some great food, then watch a game that this last season wasn't good for you guys. I'm sorry.
No, it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But I think you have a nice future. All right, back to the book.
All right.
You open it really wisely. There's that dreaded things to go with grilling ideas that kind of get thrown at the front, but you don't do that. You have it's expansive, which I like. You don't even get to the meat until like page 60 or so. I'm thinking these feta waffles, like you're saying, let's do feta waffles for a grill out, which is like, holy shit, that's super smart.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the waffles in this opening chapter.
Well, like for me, the waffles started as the chicken and waffles.
Yeah.
And I'm Greek, so I'm like, all right, there's that, like, I'm not adverse to chicken and maple syrup and butter and honey and a waffle. It's delicious. But as a Mediterranean kid, I'm like, there's got to be a more delicious way to do this, or something that fits my DNA a little bit better. So, we started playing around with waffle batters that had the feta and some other things folded into it, which now you get to play with salty and sweet, which is always, like, if you're cooking at home and you want a flavor that's going to make your guests happy, salty and sweet is always a good place to start. And yeah, it's just about having a little bit of fun. And we've done them with like waffle irons that you throw into the fire.
Those are fun, like the analog ones.
Yeah, a blast.
That's like Little House on the Prairie
Absolutely.
style.
As a chef, I love that kind of stuff. But you could bring, if you have electricity outside, you could bring a waffle maker outside, or you could obviously do them in the house too. But you just treat it like a regular waffle, but the ingredients are savory. So you have this lovely feta waffle that could go great with chicken, go great with pork. The Greeks, we love feta and like shellfish, so you could side them, some grilled shrimp. They could hang out next to that. Like, so there's a lot of versatility there.
There's a lot of great seafood in the book. We'll get to that. But first, rice spätzle on the grill. Never seen that. Wow. Into that idea. What inspired you to say you can do rice spätzle on the grill?
Well, again, you get, I always set my grill up so one side's ripping, one side's basically no coals. So on the ripping side, I put a pot of water, and we boil the water like we would inside on our stovetop. And if I'm doing a pork chop or pork loins or something like that I think is so great with rice spätzle, I could put the pot up top, get it boiling, get the pork chops or whatever meat I'm cooking on, get the spätzle going, and again, you're outside, you're cooking outside, cleanup's a little bit easier. You're not sweating in your kitchen.
It makes a lot of sense too, like as this like kind of quasi dumpling that you're doing with these really big cuts of meat and grilled vegetables. It's a beautiful carb grain to do there. Yeah.
People are always amazed how like spätzle, how easy it is to make.
Yeah.
And it's just a batter and you just cut it into boiling salted water. It's super easy. And just a great side. Like I love a good old fashioned potato, but I get sick of it as the quote unquote starchy side all the time.
Let's talk about grilling scallops. It seems very intimidating. Why is it not?
Well, I feel like there's certain shellfish, especially, that you need to think of like this needs to be cooked quickly. Scallops, shrimp, lobster, certain different even fillets of fish, it doesn't have to be shellfish. So it shouldn't be intimidating because like if you have a large scallop and you get your grill ripping, just like you would a pan if you were doing it in a pan with brown butter, and you set that scallop down on the very hot grill and you don't touch it. You just let the magic happen for a couple minutes, give it a flip, and then it's done. Like, so on a hot grill, and then you move them to your side of the grill that's with no coals. And in 3 minutes, you have dinner.
Yeah.
Like what's easier than that?
Yeah, it's kissing the grill, essentially. You're not
but you can't. Everyone wants to flip stuff too fast.
Agree.
And if you grab it and it's sticking, it's the protein is trying to tell you to leave me alone. Like I am not ready. It's like, it's kind of like when your alarm goes off in the morning, but you're not ready to wake up yet. So you don't get your ass out of bed. You just sit there for another second, gather your thoughts, and then you get out of bed. When you grab the scallop and the scallop is holding on to the grill. It is doing its best to tell you, I need a minute. Like, just give me a minute. And then when it releases, it's ready.
It's time to wake up.
Time to wake up.
Love that. Let's talk about swordfish. It feels to me, Michael, that swordfish is having a moment on the restaurant scene. Tell me about your recipe for swordfish, and do you agree with me?
I think it is having a moment. I think a lot of it is a lot of chefs, sadly not all, are responsible when it comes to, the ecosystem and everything else. And, swordfish got really overfished in the 80s and even the early 90s, and then it became endangered, so we were pulling more swordfish out of the ocean than we needed to. It's in a good place again. It's always been a popular fish because it's a relatively easy fish to cook, and it's for people that are seafood frightened. It's a very good starter fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's relative.
You mean frightened of cooking it
and eating it?
And eating it too. Cool.
It's funny. Like, a lot of people are like, I don't like seafood, but I know I got to start eating seafood. I think I'm going to start with salmon. No, dummy. Like, salmon is a strong tasting fish. Like, and if you overcook it, then it's a really strong tasting fish. So they don't think they like the way that seafood tastes, and then they start with one of the more oily, stronger tasting fishes. Swordfish is mild. It eats a little bit like a steak. Like, I could, for my hardcore Midwest carnivore friends, I could do a swordfish preparation similar to a steak preparation, and they're going to be very happy.
I really enjoy that fish. I feel like there's something about it that has a texture, and when it holds flavor in a way that's
meaty.
It's meaty is what you're saying. It's meaty. Terrific seafood recipes in this book. I'm really excited about it, man. The pork butt steak, not as common. And
So
you lean
underrated.
into pork quite a bit. Yeah, it's underrated. Talk about your ideas with the pork butt steak.
Well, first off, he is passed, but Mike Mills, who to me is one of the greatest pit masters in the history of America.
Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois. And when Mike was alive, for whatever reason, he took a liking to me. And I spent a lot of time with him at festivals, in his at his restaurants, and he loved pork. Like, when you knew that Mike Mills liked you, he made you a pork steak. And it's in this day and age where meat is so expensive, it's an inexpensive cut. It cooks up relatively quickly. You could smoke it, you could grill it, you could roast. There's a million different ways you could prepare it. And it has that great intermuscular fat in it, which gives it a very deep flavor. It's a delicious cut of meat right out of the butt.
And your sauce has Dr. Pepper in it and cherries, and I feel like pork and Dr. Pepper. That's taking me somewhere. It's taking me.
It's a little. It's like I typically don't lean real far into the sweet. I'm more of an acidic guy. But every once in a while, I like a dish to be slightly trashy.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the good sense. And I just, when I was a kid, my mom didn't let us. I'm going to really show my Cleveland. We weren't allowed to drink pop.
Oh, I'm from West Michigan.
Yeah,
we call it pop.
Soda for.
No, we call that pop in this podcast.
I know, it's pop.
It's pop for going forward.
So we weren't allowed to drink pop. Only on special occasions were we allowed to drink pop. And it was usually like graduation, confirmation, one of the Asians. And it was always, the party was always in the garage. There was a keg of beer for my dad and his cohorts and uncles and such. And then there was, my mom would set up a little cooler with pop, and she would put, Dr. Pepper was my pop of choice when I was allowed to drink pop. So I was I didn't drink Coke or Pepsi or all the weird colored
RC
sodas.
Cola.
Yeah, or remember the little bottles, and there were red ones, light blue ones.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell was in those things? Dr. Pepper was always my jam. I liked Dr. Pepper. So And it works really well in a barbecue sauce. It has all these different flavors in it. It's kind of a unique taste, especially if you want to go down the road of cherry.
I like it.
It just works for me.
And you're marinating the pork butt in anything, or is it just seasoned?
No, it's just like a dry rub.
A dry rub, basically, just a dry rub.
Yep.
And you can get that at like the butcher shop.
Yeah, I mean, you could make your own. Quite honestly, you could just do it with salt and pepper too, and baste with the sauce.
Love a good dry rub. All right, let's take a break from the grilling talk and talk about you're in the mustard business. You are in the mustard, but you are in a CPG game. You are launching a mustard. You have launched a mustard. Tell me about it.
I am new to the mustard business. We have a little company called Pop Mustard.
How about that word? It's like just rolls off your tongue.
Well, and also it's the only whole seed mustard on the market.
Oh wow, cool.
So it's whole seed, pickled, and fermented. We do 3 different flavors: smoked, original, which is like an IPA, and a spicy we're getting ready to launch now. But it pops in your mouth like caviar. Like initially we called it Cleveland caviar because we thought that was funny and cute, but then everybody thought it was fish. So, or, actual caviar.
Yeah.
So now we just say, we like jokingly say, it's the caviar of mustards. Like in my dream, I have a dream sometimes that, remember, I'm a little bit older than you, but the Grey Poupon commercial when we were kids, where the two Rolls Royces pulled up. Sir, is that Grey Poupon?
Grey Poupon.
Yeah, I want to do it with Pop. I want to do like a recreation of that with Pop, but not make it bougie. Make it like Machine Gun Kelly and Drake.
Oh yeah, get those guys. I like that.
Fun like that. Like, is that the caviar of mustards, man?
I feel like you've art directed this and creative directed this already. But tell me about the actual mustard business. Is it a good business?
We're new to it.
Yeah.
It is. We launched about 4 months ago.
Oh wow, pretty new.
We're in Sprouts. We're getting ready to be in Myers next week.
Nice.
So we're in about 2,500 stores nationally so far, and growing at a controlled climate. So I think it's going to be a great business. It was a gentleman by the name of Michael Januska had a company called Old Brooklyn Mustard in Cleveland and won several gold medals and world championships for his mustard. To the point is, we used to do these pickled mustard seeds at Lola and Mabel's, and Michael's were better than what we were making. And so we started using Michael, and then we went into business together and formed a company because I thought his stuff was so special, and it also wasn't getting the recognition that he was getting the recognition, but Old Brooklyn Mustard wasn't selling what it deserved to sell. So we created Pop. We limited the SKUs to start.
He needed you to help it out. Like, he needed a Cleveland guy.
Yeah,
who now lives in LA, and it
just works. It just works. He's a incredibly talented at what he does.
Yeah.
And I have very specific thoughts about flavor profiles and what I think people enjoy. So we've formed a really good team, and it's all produced in Cleveland. They're all no GMOs, properly raised mustard seeds, and we handle them with care.
Love a Meyer reference.
Oh.
It's at Meyer. Here we go. Pop mustard. I love that. All right. A few more grilling questions. We hear about dropping ribeyes directly on the coals. It's been done. You are like giving us permission that you can do it more often than not. Give us permission on this podcast because it seems a little intimidating.
People are so afraid of it. Like I've been doing it forever, and it's like not even outside on the grill. I used to do it in my fireplace in the winter. When I didn't want to shovel out the path to the grill.
Yeah.
And we had a fire going in the house, I would throw the steaks right on the fire,
Like on a grate?
No, into the fire. Just right into the fire. And the fire is so hot, it sears the exterior of the steak, and you get this beautiful crust, and then you just brush anything off that you need to brush off, which is very minimal because the heat releases it like it would a grill.
Yeah.
And you get that great char and great flavor, and I think the one we do in the book has an anchovy butter on, which I love with steak.
What's the timing when you're just dropping it in onto the coals? How does that work?
Just look at it. You watch it. I mean, it depends on the thickness, but it's getting heat from all sides typically. You might have to give it a flip. If it's like a bone chop, wrap the bone in foil because you don't want the bone to catch on fire. But it's just a really quick, easy way to do things that adds tremendous flavor and gives you that like let's face it, anymore, most steakhouses are all capable of getting the same quality beef. Like, use back in the day, like Peter Luger got so much better beef than everybody else, so it was the best steakhouse. Now, because of people like Pat LaFreda, Pat is so great at finding and dry aging meat that most steakhouses could get a quality of prime dry aged beef that is insanity. So if everybody's on the same playing field with the level of beef they're getting now, it's who cooks it best that's going to win. So a great steakhouse always has great crust, like that great exterior crust. Like no one wants to eat a steamed steak.
No.
So the crust is where the flavor comes from. When you drop something into coals, you get a great crust. You get like a steakhouse quality crust because no one at home has an upright broiler that's 1,200 degrees.
Yeah. That would be ill to have one of those in your backyard.
It would be so good.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. It makes sense. You're going to get that perfect crust with dropping it right on the coals.
Yep,
Smart.
every time.
I love the back of the book, this index you have. I just wanted to touch on that, where it goes through every recipe and it says what's vegetables, what's gluten-free, what's dairy-free. That's great.
Yeah,
I like that.
Look, I feel a book needs to be user-friendly for people to go back to it and use it constantly. We did a couple books, Fix It with Food, because of my RA and discoid lupus and how you could figure out what is causing the inflammation in your body. So we use the back of the book to label things properly. So if people do suffer or are watching their diet based on inflammation, they could quickly scroll through the back of the book and say, okay, these ingredients don't work well for me. I could look at the back of the book and I could go to this recipe and I could cook this recipe.
Michael, on This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready?
Well, why are you talking so fast now?
Because we're going to talk fast.
Fast and Furious. Okay, it's Fast and Furious. I got it.
All right.
Fast and Furious.
The best fruit.
The best fruit. Harry's Berry Strawberries.
Nice. California speaking there.
Very specific. That's the greatest strawberry on earth.
It's very, very true. The worst vegetable.
Worst vegetable. Oh, I love most vegetables.
Yeah.
White asparagus. I don't get it.
Yeah, and like they serve it all the time at John George restaurants. They ship it in from France.
I love John George.
Oh, I love John George
don't get
too.
The white asparagus.
Yeah, indeed. What is your typical breakfast?
Typical breakfast is 3 eggs. They're prepared different on most days, but I do love crispy eggs with a good dash of hot sauce, some hard toasted sourdough bread. I usually do it in a grill pan, and like a half of avocado with a bunch of sea salt on it.
Indeed. What's the hot sauce? I have to ask.
I change all the time. I'm very in. Oh man, I hate truffle oil, truffle this, truffle that, truffle this.
Yeah.
Like it makes me crazy. But I do like truff hot sauce.
It works for me.
It does.
The best dessert.
Best dessert of all time, and most people aren't going to agree with this, but my yaya made it for me when I was sad. Rice pudding.
Interesting. What draws you to it?
Memories, texture, cinnamon.
Yeah, cinnamon. It has to have that ring at the top of it.
On top, the cinnamon on top. Like Liz and I went to a rice pudding store the other day, and the rice pudding was delicious. And I ordered, I think it was called the Classic or something with cinnamon, and the cinnamon was folded in, which I enjoyed. But I prefer the cinnamon on top, and like the break of cinnamon on the bottom.
It's like a creme brulee, but with cinnamon.
Correct.
Was it Rice to Riches?
It was.
You went there. I love that place still exists.
Oh my God. I got a giant bowl.
It's
like
so
I'm
good.
staying at the Ludlow.
Yeah.
We went to Rice to Riches, and then we went to this great new bar called Revival. Have you been to Revival?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Had a great time there.
Is there a restaurant you wish you could bring back from the dead?
I'd say Lola, but that's exhausting.
Yeah.
A restaurant I wish I could bring back from the dead. You know what? And I'm not just saying this because he's one of my dearest friends. I miss Mesa Grill. I do. I miss that old school Southwestern food that Bobby did.
It was cool. We talked about on our episode with Bobby about, coming back to New York, bringing back restaurants.
I miss
in
Mesa.
the Bobby Flay style.
Yeah, I miss Mesa. I do.
It was a pioneering restaurant.
100%. Yeah.
And Bolo too.
Yeah, Bolo was great also.
What a cool restaurant.
Yeah.
So you guys kind of came up in similar eras.
Oh, same era. I mean, I think that's why we're probably such good friends. We grew up around the same people. We came up around the same time. I started at Food Network. He started in 95. I started in 98, so yeah, we've known each other a long time.
98 at Food Network, and now you're still there. Like, do you get the holiday cards?
It's had a lot of different ownerships.
Okay, there's not.
But I do get a card every year.
You get the card.
I do get a card.
You get the invite to the holiday party.
Yeah, I don't know if there are still holiday parties. I haven't been invited to them, but I do get a card every year. They've been very good to me for a very long time. Yeah.
Well, you've been good to them. It's a very, very cool relationship you have with them.
Yeah.
A few more of these. When you're reaching for fast food, what's the choice?
If I'm on the East Coast, is Shake Shack considered fast food?
1 out of 3 times asked the question, that is the caveat to the response. Because everyone, yes, it is fast food.
Okay.
They're an IPO'd company. They're on the,
So, and then when I'm on the West Coast, I know people have been saying it for a long time. In-N-Out Burger just crushes. I just had one the other day. Their fries kind of suck, but their burgers are awesome.
The fries at Five Guys and In-N-Out are terrible.
Yeah.
Just have to say that. But the burger is excellent.
Yeah,
what a great company, too. Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Palermo.
Interesting. I love that choice. Why? Why visit there?
Sicily to me is the greatest place that you could go for food in the world because it's this beautiful melting pot of like Italy, Greece, and North African cuisine.
Yeah. Do you go every year?
I used to, not anymore. But I do. I love myself some Sicily, and I love Palermo. And I mean, cool. I had some good trips to Marsala too, which are great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Palermo, and it's great too. Like, I feel as someone who's went to Italy a lot in their lifetime, it's like it's harder now to get the true Italian experience than it was years ago. Where like Rome almost feels like you'd be in Manhattan, But Sicily's still like there's not a lot of Americans there. It's like you're there, so you're eating their food. Like they're not making food to make the American consumer happy. They're making food that makes them happy. So you get like a true experience.
Last one, your favorite sandwich?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Take me to break it down. Bread choice, butter choice, peanut butter choice.
All right. I will say if Liz, my wife's listening to this, rarely a day goes by that I don't eat a peanut butter and jelly. The bread choice changes a lot.
Yeah.
My attitude on the bread, like sometimes I toast it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes, like if I toast it, it's more of like a artisanal type bread and that I like to toast. If I'm just out of the fridge sandwich, I get the multi-grain. The dude's on the cover. What's it called?
Oh, Dave's Killer.
Dave's Killer, the thin one.
The dude, yeah.
With the thin.
Yeah, the like 80 calorie.
Yeah, and it's not because of calories. I just like
calories.
I like the ratio that it gives.
Yeah, me too.
So the Dave's Killer thin whole grain, Justin's peanut butter, which I've become fully addicted to, and often we make our own jams. Often, and then often Katie Pickens, who was my culinary director for 20 years, her mom sends me. I make strawberry. Her mom sends me grape all the time. And then if I bought jam, I'm a strawberry. I like strawberry is what I lean into the most. And I can't. I know exactly what the label looks like, but I can't. Meyer. It begins with an M. It's the little clear glass jar.
Oh, cool.
Looks kind of sexy, but they make a very good strawberry jam.
I love that sandwich. I feel like it's an underrated sandwich, the peanut butter.
Yeah, I love peanut butter. Like I could eat it out of the jar with a spoon, like several spoons of them. And like sometimes like I'll have a peanut butter or like a Nutella, which I love, doesn't make me quite as happy like Nutella banana. Peanut butter and jelly, man. It's delicious.
I like the choice. Michael Symon, thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
All right, thank you.
This is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanal and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.